did the Bengals get screwed or is it just sour grapes, right? Um, the AFC Championship came around, and I think I'm only hearing so much of this because I do AFC North talk. So because I do AFC North talk, I have closer proximity than most people to Cincinnati Bengals fans, and Bengal fans 100%, not 100% of them, but a large enough percent that's not ignorable, believe themselves to have genuinely gotten screwed in the AFC Championship game. They think it's favoritism towards Patrick Mahomes, the NFL's golden boy, and I think part of me thinks this is just one of the natural reactions to high stakes football. Because honestly, whenever there's a close game in the NFL and the stakes are this high, the team that loses genuinely always feels like they get screwed. And the example I use is Browns fans still believe we got screwed against the Chiefs in 2020 because of a missed call on Nick Sorensen that was bad. Browns also didn't stop Chad Henne for a whole quarter. And that factored in why they lost. But, we focus on those things and act like it's that. For this game, what Bengal fans have focused on was they feel like the penalty, the late hit penalty was bad, which I disagree with, if that's what the feeling is. But they point to the 3rd and 9 situation where the Chiefs got another crack at 3rd and 9 because they stopped the play, but nobody knew they stopped the play. And to be fair about that, if you watch the Buffalo game this year or any of the playoff games this year, that has happened a lot. Like, there is something about crowd noise and how they officiate games when they try to stop a play. It just doesn't work. I think they need to do something to fix that, right? Because that's a bad look for everybody. But what I think they should do is have a button on their hip, and that button can illuminate the scoreboard red or something like that to let them know, hey, stop. Maybe it blacks out. Maybe it makes the game clock, the 24-second clock that the quarterbacks use, and it makes it red so the quarterbacks know, oh, okay, play's dead. You know what I mean? Maybe something like that needs to happen, but you saw the video. They did stop the play beforehand. And I don't know why that play is such a big deal because, yeah, they got a first down, but they also punted after that next set of downs and did not score. So it's not like that's what led to the Chiefs going ahead. What led to the Chiefs going ahead was Joe Burrow threw an interception. They got the ball back, still punted. Then the Bengals still didn't move the ball enough to get into field goal range to break the tie. Punted again, and it gave up a big return. Let Pat Mahomes on one leg scramble for 6 yards. And then you pushed him out of bounds when you didn't have to, which pushed it up to 15 yards. These sound like mistakes that the Bengals made to me. You call me biased because I'm not a Bengals fan, but these sound like things that your team just did wrong, not something that the NFL screwed you on. And the idea that the NFL is screwing the Bengals because Pat Mahomes is the golden boy when you have Joe Burrow on your team. I don't know if they realize how hilarious that sounds, but the people outside of the Cincinnati Bengals bubble, it sounds hilarious, right? I mean, everybody's fan base believes that they're the ones getting screwed, right? If you talk to Patriots fans, big time, they believe that the NFL screws over them all the time in favor of other franchises. You talk to Steeler fans, they feel like the NFL screws them over specifically for the golden boy Tom, right? So it's funny. Everybody thinks the league was screwing over people for Tom Brady. And then the people who cheered for the team that Tom Brady was on felt like the league had a vendetta against him. Kind of evidence that there is no screwing going on there, right? That everybody has all of these wacky theories, even the people who are supposedly the recipients of the screwing. And Bengal fans kind of sound similarly ridiculous because the league really wants to market Joe Burrow. If the league wanted to push an agenda, it would be Joe Burrow. because Pat Mahomes has been around for a while, and they seem keen on letting us forget that that's Pat Mahomes. You know what I mean? Like they don't really push him like they used to push other dudes that were clearly the best quarterback in the NFL. But when it comes to Joe Burrow, it's a little different. They seem to really want to get behind that. Well, not get it because Joe Burrow is very marketable. He seems like a fun enough dude. Seems like a fun guy. You know what I mean? I can see why you would want to market him. But as far as the Bengals getting screwed, no, they didn't get screwed. They did not get screwed. They just played the Chiefs. And let's be real here. The Bengals just didn't play good. Play well enough to win at least. They had, 2 turnovers. The Chiefs did have one. Pat Mahomes fumbled the ball inexplicably, just a horrible fumble late in that game, which I thought would cost them. But they didn't capitalize on any of it, right? What lost the Chiefs the game last year was the inability to get offense in the fourth quarter. Ironically enough, that's the exact thing that hurt the Bengals this year. Was that fourth quarter offense was lacking. They had 2 or 3 drives at the end of that game to win it, to at least take the lead late in the fourth quarter. Didn't even get a field goal. That's why they lost the game. You got out. I think the Bengals should think about how did they get outscored by a team where Pat Mahomes is there, but he's on one leg. He was visibly hurt, and all of his wide receivers were hurt. Sky Moore, Pachinko, and Valdez-Scantling. I think that was all he had. I think he had 3 wide receivers at one point in that game, especially in the fourth quarter. How did that team outmaneuver you? It's not a bad loss because you made it to the AFC Championship game, but that's one that you're going to want back. That is one that you're going to want back. I don't know if the opportunities to get to the Super Bowl, and we talk about this all the time. In this moment right now, I don't think people are going to understand it, but I think in a couple of years, we're going to have a better understanding of it. It is so hard to get back to the Super Bowl. And when you make it to AFC Championship games 2 times in a row, you feel like it's easy to get there, but it's so hard. So many players get to the Super Bowl early, think they're going to get there for the rest of their life, and then they never get back, right? Cam Newton's a great example of this, right? Had that MVP season, was young, looked like the Panthers were going to be the team of the century, gets that Super Bowl, loses. Hey, it's okay. He's going to be back. Never got back. Never even got close to getting back. I'm not going to say that the things are going to be the same for Joe Burrow next year, but it's going to be more difficult for Joe Burrow next year, right? I don't think Russell Wilson's going to be as terrible as he was this year. Is he going to be good? I don't know. But he's not going to be as terrible as he was this year. You would have to assume that the Browns are going to be better with Deshaun Watson in that roster. Like maybe this is the year that they live up to that potential. Who knows what happens with Lamar and the Ravens? Maybe you lose one that way. Or maybe Lamar gets traded to like a good team in the AFC. Like we don't know what's going to happen there. But it's only going to get harder for the Bengals to win the Super Bowl after yesterday, and I think they had a great opportunity to get to one. Whether they would have beaten the Philadelphia Eagles, I don't know. I think it could happen because Joe Burrow's the better quarterback versus Jalen Hurts, but that Eagles defensive line would have did a number on that poor offensive line of the Bengals. Especially with as many injuries that they've accumulated, as much tape was out there. We saw what Chris Jones did to that offensive line by himself. It would have been a nightmare if that Philadelphia Eagles defensive line got their hands on that Bengals one. So I don't know if they even would have won the Super Bowl this year. I think they could have beaten the 49ers, but I don't think they were beating the Eagles. So it's not like the Bengals got screwed. I don't even think it was really even like close to really saying that, even though, again, every fan base after any game of this magnitude is going to feel like they got screwed. And I'm sure the Bengals players in that locker room are going to feel like they got screwed because that's how they seem to get down. Like they love that we got screwed, nobody wants us to win underdog mindset. I'm sure that they're going to rally around that and make up something like, the same way Georgia acted like people actually predicted them to go 7-5 for motivation. They're probably going to use that, but that don't really make it true. I don't think people really hate the Bengals outside of like AFC North fans. But that's that whole situation there. I'm going to have more covering this game as the week goes on. So make sure you stay tuned and locked in here. I want to thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Have a good night.